G'day everyone, welcome back. Lesson 5 today. We are going to be diving into media and peers and how that influences your socialization process as well as the development of your personal social identity. So if we could highlight that, make sure you date it, and page 12, here we go. Alrighty, so we'll start with peers and then we'll move on into the media. So again, remembering that you are summarizing each dot point into your big boy book as you go. So when we're looking at peers, they are considered a primary socialization agent, especially today, considering how connected we all are via technology. The main reason that they're probably one of the biggest influences after your family is because peers often provide you the first opportunity to explore life outside of your normal realm of experience within your own family. So for many people, seeing their friends or going out with their friends and seeing their peers is a breakaway from the normality that is their family life and home. So for that reason, they are one of the biggest socialization agents, especially even more so when you guys have onset of puberty, as well as in high school, where you are starting to become an adult and you're engaging with a lot more risk-taking behaviors. These experiences with your peers can really help cement them as a primary socialization agent because they are affecting and developing your identity almost every time you're with them, from things like your personal appearance and how you identify with yourself physically. Your morals and beliefs and values can often be challenged by your peers because they're different from your family and things that you've grown up with. And the last one, I guess, is that idea of you're going through similar stages of life to each other, but a lot of the stuff, particularly in high school and particularly around your age, around adulthood, you have a lot of rites of passages coming up. So you've got things like 18th coming up, driving, which is a really big indicator of freedom and a step towards adulthood. Even the idea that adulthood is looming over and you're soon going to be recognized legally as an adult. You've got the legalization of drinking, going out into pubs and clubs and things like that legally. So all of those sort of things really shift the peers into a primary socialization agent. So that's the little spiel on peers. So that should help with your word bank. So get that done and then we'll review that on Friday. What I also want you to do in your big boy book is I've got a slang table, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to print that off and leave copies on the library near your book collection depository so you can get the sheets from there. I'll also upload it to Classroom if you feel like printing it yourself. But essentially there's going to be a slang table. Now this is an article and it's looking at slang terms over time. Okay, so we start from the 1920s and we go up to the 2000s. What your job here is, I want you to glue that table in and highlight only phrases you are familiar with or that you've used before. Okay, you could even differentiate them if you want, because you don't want to be seen saying the cat's pajamas. So that used to mean the best, the height of excellence was the cat's pajamas, okay? So what I want you to do is go through and highlight any, so the bee's knees is probably one you're all familiar with. That's one that's stuck around a lot. Now obviously some of these haven't stayed around. So things like, "Oh, I'll be a monkey's uncle." People aren't saying that anymore. They're just saying, "What? Get out. Shut up. I don't believe you." Whatever it is, "I'll be a monkey's uncle" is not what we say these days. But again, if you've heard it or you're familiar with it, please highlight it. Go all the way to the 2000s. What I then want you to do after that, you'll notice it stops at the 2000s. Now, because you guys are woke, what I want you to do is make your own list of slang terms that are used from 2010 to 2020. Things like lit, dank, swag, yeet, YOLO, and snack. These are just some of the words I'm familiar with. There's probably more, but what I want you to do is make a big old list of that. I'll look forward to reading that again in your big boy book. What I then want you to do is make a list, and this would be a really good activity to do with your friends, is to make a list of slang terms that are relevant to your own social group. And I want you to write and explain what they mean as well. If you can't come up with 10, that's fine. But I said at least 10 here, maybe at least 5, but aim for 10. And the reason for this is language really shapes the peer experience a lot of the time. And in terms of looking at how slang has changed over time, it's really interesting to see how that has also shaped and morphed identity. And then the last thing I want you to do is explain how your peer group has influenced your identity in at least 2 ways. So what this would mean, and you might want to write this in, is you need to back up and provide those with examples, okay? So I just don't want you to say, they influence my beliefs and music taste, and then just leave it at that. I need you to provide examples and tell me how and why that they have. Explain, because the question is asking, explain how. If I just wanted you to give me a short answer, I would have listed it. All right, everyone. So you may notice I stopped a little bit. I heard keys jangling. This is a one-time special. I wouldn't usually do this, but I'm going to introduce you to my son and my wife. Okay, you've already met Bondi. Where is he? Anyway, so this is Ellie.
Hello.
You probably can't hear it because the mic's here, and that's the baby. Go side on.
Bondi.
Oh, isn't that cute?
Hello.
He loves cuddles. Anyway, so when are you due, El?
End of June.
End of
2
June.
more months.
Okay. Now I've told them all, whoever has the highest mark at the end of the year gets the first cuddle.
Okay.
So what are you going to say to them?
Get studying.
Get studying. Oh, beautiful advice. All right. Okay, so that's that page there done. Have a look at this great content here as well if you want a bit of a laugh. That's peers, okay? And so moving on to the second part of this dot point, we are looking at the media. So here, especially today, now the media used to be considered, and I still think to some extent it can be considered a secondary socialization agent, but a lot of the time at the moment, considering how prolific the media is and social media these days, a lot of people are now considering that to be a primary socialization agent as well. Particularly if, and I'll get you guys to do this now, if you go on your phone, most phones have in the settings somewhere where you can see how many hours a week or a day that you spend on Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat or whatever it is. And if you notice how many hours you spend on that thing a week, some of you may be shocked that you spend more time on that than you do, say, engaging with your family or your friends. So that is particularly the idea of why that we're putting media in that primary socialization agent channel now, because the mass influence that they have on your ideas, opinions, and attitudes of growing up, especially when you're engaging with all different opinions and content and looking at different behaviors from all around the world and then attempting it in your own life. So that's really important. But yeah, have a look and see how many hours you spend on your social media apps each week, and then compare that to the amount of hours you spend with your family and friends, and you may see why it's now considered a primary socialization agent. So that should help you answer the word bank a little bit there. What I want you to do then after is watch this video. Now watch it in its entirety. This is by a contemporary thinker called Simon Sinek, and he's really done quite a powerful video on the millennial question, or what they call the millennial question.
I have yet.
So it goes for 15 minutes here. Watch it in its entirety. It's absolutely fantastic. He really gets stuck into and talking about what it means to live as a millennial in this day and age, but also really looking at how the media has influenced you guys as a socialization agent. You can watch the full video up here for an hour if you like, but that is all right, just as the 15-minute section there. Once you have done that, I want you to answer this question here. So what is he saying about what specifically has changed about the socialization process for millennials? Now, you guys, I think, are technically Gen Z, But I think a lot of this applies. And back when that video was actually filmed, millennials was considered part of our generation. And it's weird that I'm often boxed with you guys, but that's a topic for another time. So again, filling the lines, that's what's expected in our HSC. We don't leave any lines out. That's indicative of the length of response. So watch that full 15-minute video. It's absolutely fascinating. It's really, really good insight there, okay? And I'll be talking to you about it, so make sure you do. And then the last thing, and watching this video really helped with your summary task as well, what I want you to look at is, do you think the media dictates to society, or does society dictate to the media? So we'll break this down a little bit. So dictate means, how does that shape one's behavior? So if I'm dictating to you, I'm sort of telling you what you need to do. And so in this context, we're looking at, does the media tell society what it needs to do, or does society tell the media what it should do and portray? So I guess the idea here is looking at, do we control the media, and then that in turn influences society? Or does the media actually control us, and that's what's influencing society? Or is it a bit of both? Depending on your standpoint or point of view, you might say it's both. You might say it's more one side than the other. So it could be, I guess, to what extent? That's probably actually a better way of framing this question. And that often is your big 15 markers in your HSC2. You may get a to what extent question. So adjust that question in your book there. So to what extent does the media dictate to society, or to what extent does society dictate to the media? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines there. You can do it, get it done. If you need more room, you can put it over in your big boy book. But apart from that, that's lesson 5 done, and I'll see you next one. Bye.